Today's sermon is titled Hope Springs Eternal to be delivered by Randy Schwalbe. One could say that Randy is somewhat involved in our community. He is currently serving as the chairman of the worship committee, creates the slides for the service each week, co-leads the Zoom tech team, and trains members who wish to serve as worship associates in this pulpit. He also sits on the operations committee and the termite ad hoc committee. In his spare time, Randy directs the Atascadero Community Band, bakes incredible pizzas for our community, and under the guidance of Ames Anderson, is building a greenhouse for Mary. Randy, it is my pleasure to introduce you.
Thank you, Art. O blindness to the future, kindly given, that each may fill the circle marked by heaven, who sees with equal eye as God of all, a hero perish or a sparrow fall. Atoms or systems into ruin hurled, and now a bubble burst, and now a world. Hope, humbly then, with trembling pinions soar, wait the great teacher death, and God adore. What future bliss he gives not to thee to know, but gives that hope to be thy blessing now. Hope springs eternal in the human breast. Man never is, but always to be blessed. The soul, uneasy and confined from home, rests and expatiates in a life to come. That is an excerpt from a work written in 1734 by Alexander Pope, titled An Essay on Man, Epistle 1. In essence, it means, by nature, people will keep on hoping no matter what the odds. For example, I keep buying lottery tickets, even though the Super Lotto Plus jackpot odds are 1 in 42 million. In other words, coining the words of Albert Einstein, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. But I digress. Alexander Pope's immortal proverb, hope springs eternal, comes from his aforementioned work, Essay on Man, that was quickly adored by other scholarly luminaries of the mid-18th century, such as Rousseau, Kant, and Voltaire. Just an aside, even though Voltaire called it the most beautiful, the most useful, the most sublime didactic poem ever written in any language, he later renounced it by writing a satire of Pope's work called Candide. But that's for another sermon for another time. Let's now focus on this simple word, hope. Actually, hope holds a significant place in the study of human behavior known as psychology. But I do not hold a degree in this subject, so I will not delve into the deep crevices of this science. Instead, I shall share with you my experiences and views of this concept of hope. First, for the longest time, I have viewed hope and its apparently nebulous meaning as weak and squishy. You may have heard this expression, don't go out and try to do something, just go do it. Well, same with hope. Don't go around hoping for something, just make it happen. So I had little tolerance for hope. I mean, really, I hope you get well soon. Well, that's an easy out. You didn't really have to do anything to show you cared. I mean, come on. The least you could do for a sick friend is to prescribe some medicine, right? Oh, what? Forget what I just said. Okay, that may be illegal. Or how about, I hope you have a nice trip. Again, did you do anything to help make the trip nice? Probably not. So anytime you offer words of hopefulness to another, you are attempting to win points without trying too hard. Oh, and it gets better. One day I heard some doctor of psychology on the radio remark that when you put that hopeful spell on someone, you have inadvertently cast a spell of despair upon yourself. In other words, until whatever you hope for comes to pass, you will be in a state of despair. Follow me in this. I say to you, I hope you have a swell trip to the Fiji Islands. From that moment until 2 weeks later when you return, I am in a state of despair. I do not know if you are having a good time. While in a state of despair, I'm hoping you are. But when you return with a report of what a great time you did have, my despair is vanquished and my offer of hopefulness came to pass. But if you fell very ill on the islands and had to be evacuated by medical helicopter, then I failed to make my hopefulness happen. I let you down, and all of your misfortunes are, as a result, attributed to my not hoping hard enough. By now, I suspect you may be thinking, I've taken this notion down an absurd rabbit hole. And indeed, you would be correct. But the cynic in me did think this way about hope. Amusingly enough, I remember one day while growing up, my excessive use of the word hopefully. I was uttering that word with the same frequency teenagers these days say the word like. It was like crazy. Hopefully, I will get my homework done. Hopefully, she will say yes to my invitation to the prom I never went to. It was my cynical alter ego that broke me of that habit once I hit the college campus. So, is there value in hope, in hoping for and expressing hopefulness? Absolutely yes. It happens to be one of the strongest forces of healing, of actualization, and of our very survival. You have heard many stories of individuals in severe distress due to the almost non-existent odds of surviving a debilitating disease or accident. Typically, this person spends virtually all of his or her waking hours contemplating their situation, and invariably they will reach a crossroads, a binary decision, one of which is to simply give up and take what comes. The other decision, one that takes a tremendous amount of self-determination, is to beat this scourge. This effort is fueled by, you guessed it, hope. And often, much of that energy called hope comes from loved ones who cannot remind you enough that they are hoping for a speedy recovery. So no, this is not an effort for others to win points with the ailing. Their sincerity is real medicine. And now I believe doctors encourage and support the offer of hope from friends and relatives as part of the healing process. As for actualization, I found this to be fascinating. Hope is a natural and essential component of a plan. It shows that you really care about a certain outcome, and hope in of itself will be the catalyst of your motivation to carry out your plans. For example, I hope I get an A in my quantum theory of radiation interactions class this semester. Hoping for this does not mean I can just sit back and let the fates or someone upstairs handle it. Inshallah. Instead, based on hoping for an A, I will lay out a plan, a set of strategies that should improve my chances of achieving an A. Now, if I didn't give a damn about this class, or I ended up being smarter than the professor in this subject, hope will likely not factor into my plans, if I even have any. Now, let's say I did not get that A. Instead, I earned a C or D. Okay, this is where despair comes into play. I failed to achieve my goal. But yes, despair and hope can exist simultaneously. But unlike the advice I heard from that radio doctor, despair does not exist in place of hope until what is hoped for is achieved. Instead, and this is key, you can be in a state of despair about a current situation, but also be in a state of hopefulness in planning or dreaming or fighting for a better situation. After absorbing the shock and disappointment when getting my latest transcript, I immediately made plans to retake this course and spend more time with my professor and teaching assistants. Not to be negative Nelly, but if one runs into enough despairs, overwhelming any sense of hope, that person may change majors altogether or drop out of school, or in the most severe case, drop out of life. And now we're delving into the realm of survival. Unlike most other species who primarily rely on instinct or past experiences, we humans are able to visualize a positive outcome in order to determine courses of action to survive a challenging or life threatening situation. In the summer of 2019, both California and Oregon experienced a plethora of wildfires. And in spite of that, several of us intrepid hikers drove up to Bend, where we hooked up with Kathy Persinger. Hi, Kathy. And set out on a backpacking adventure in the Santiam Wilderness in the center of Oregon. Even though we felt we were in a safe area, the possibility of a wildfire in that region was real. Contemplating a worst case scenario while hiking on a perfectly lovely day is an act of a doomsday imagination. But if a nearby wildfire did break out, we would collectively make plans to get to safety and, at the very least, find ways to avoid being overwhelmed by the flames. And the common underscoring of this is hope, hope that we get out of it alive and safe. So, this brings me to something I was fortunate enough to have studied in undergraduate school, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. As you see in this famous pyramid depiction, the lower needs must be met in order to focus on the higher needs. But it is not a linear path. A person typically moves through these needs during the course of every day. For example, you are on your way to a major book retailer for a signing of your newly published novel, but you spot your favorite fast food joint and decide to make a left turn into it for a quick bite. Even though you are low on time, you decide not to turn in front of an oncoming car that is likely far enough away, but why take chances? You just pinballed all around Maslow's pyramid. I ascertained that where hope plays a significant role in this psychology model is found in the bottom two levels when your health and or safety are seriously compromised. While trying to break free of a debilitating circumstance, the upper levels are virtually out of play. Hope is a significant energy force that keeps one focused in that direction. While in a chemotherapy session or scaling the North Face in Yosemite, you will have no other focus in the upper levels, just one of the two lowest levels. However, you will feel and possibly express hope that sometime soon you will get to focus on the higher levels. Conversely, if all hope in the upper three levels is lost, then the needs called for in the lower two levels will become less and less important. And at some point, the individual will no longer exist. It may happen slowly. He or she died of loneliness. Or abruptly, the next day, acquaintances uttered, "I didn't see it coming." Okay, let's move away from this dark, murky place. Let's talk about something delightful. Making a wish. Aha, wishing and hoping. Aren't they, in essence, the same thing? I wish you safe travels. I hope you have a safe trip. It appears to have the same meaning, or at least intent. One could make an argument that when you wish for something, you are hoping to get it. And for many, those two terms are indeed interchangeable. But I contend that they are different. Similar, but different. And illuminating this difference is also a significant part of the realm of hope. When you express or feel hopefulness towards some impending situation, it is typically accompanied by a plan to get to that end goal. When you wish for something, you expect to receive that end goal immediately, usually without any effort or consequence. For example, you find a fancy looking bottle on the beach. You pick it up and rub it, and voila, a genie comes out and grants you a wish. Okay, that's a bit too fantastic. Let's stick with your 21st birthday party. When you blew out all those candles and you made a wish. And let's say you wished for $1 million. You know, the more outlandish the wish, the less likely it will come true. But you wish it anyway. What the heck? Wishes are free. However, the next day, you were off to a job interview for a position that could set your career in motion. You are thinking assertively, I hope I do well with this interview, leading to, I hope I get the job, leading to, I hope I earn enough to thrive and give back. And with dogged perseverance and a pinch of luck tossed in, there is a very strong possibility you will eventually have $1 or $2 million to your name. But in this case, it took years of planning and action on your part. A genie just didn't twitch his nose, making a large stack of money appear right there on the sand. Another difference between wishing and hoping is the level of expectation. As mentioned before, wishes carry a negative correlation. The more outlandish the wish, the lower the probability of it coming true. Wishing for $1 million at your birthday party? Forget about it. Wishing the annoying party crasher would simply leave? Very possible, particularly if the host hides the booze. Overall, wishes carry a very, very low level of expectation. You toss a coin in the fountain. You wish upon a star. You whine about something. I wish they wouldn't run so many commercials during this movie. Often, wishing is a nice, polite gesture with no real sense of an expected outcome. The expectation of a hope, on the other hand, is one of virtual certainty. When you hope the cake beneath the white frosting is chocolate, you feel almost certain it is because your friends know about your zeal for all things chocolate. And with that upcoming job interview, knowing how much preparation you put into this, your hope has real, tangible expectations. In a sense, hope allows you to plan and act in a way that increases the odds of these expectations coming to pass. So far, I have been addressing hope on an individual level. Now I turn to hope on a community and even global level. Hope for a better future. 2020 has just been entered into the history books, and I am certain it will have many adjectives attached to it, probably all bad. For most everyone on this planet, the events of this year or last year caused unexpected loss to one degree or another, and our normal may have been lost forever. We're certainly headed into a new normal. The hope is that this new normal is tolerable and maybe something better than what we had before. The hope is that we can resume human contact and achieve a balance between public safety and the economy sometime this year as we are getting started with 2021. Last Thursday night, most of us were celebrating the start of the new year just hours away by playing out a scenario of ridding ourselves of 2020 with high expectations of a hopeful new year. We hope to see the return of students to their classrooms. We hope to see al fresco dining once again as an option. We hope to see our whole faces in public again. More importantly, we hope that the spread of the COVID virus is controlled, if not eradicated, and that we no longer lose loved ones to it. You see, hoping comes with expectations. Wishing is almost like, whatever. But 2020 did not just serve up one pandemic of a sort, it delivered two. The incident involving George Floyd last May caused a volcanic eruption for the cause of social justice from a site that has been active for over 3 centuries, our country. And the name affixed to this particular eruption is Black Lives Matter. Here, hope plays a crucial role. It keeps all those who fight for social justice focused on the expectation that, in the words of Martin Luther King, I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. This is our hope. But Reverend King did caution against actions that do not align with this message of hope. He said, let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. What Reverend King was telling us in his amazingly powerful speech is that violence in the name of social justice will negate hope. And let's not forget the hope of migrant workers and refugees who are seeking a better future. This is undeniably the most profound hope of the human condition. Profound on two key levels. First, the need to escape economic plight caused by injustices of an oppressive government. The second is the extraordinary risk these individuals take to move from one country to another against tremendous odds, knowing full well their chances of survival are not much better than slim on a daily basis. In other words, these migrants are risking their lives on a simple thing called hope. When you see these photos of pilgrimages, these people, human beings just like us, have one common thread: hope. Those who did not feel it or were not willing to take the palpable risk stayed home to live out their lives in abject poverty and oppression. Finally, here in this country, the war and poverty was intended to overcome the state of hopelessness many experience when there is just no fighting City Hall, when efforts to break loose have been quashed or ignored. As a society, we need to find a way to help instill a feeling of hopefulness anywhere possible. As you've heard in the first reading, what Brian Stevenson said to last year's Harvard Law School's graduating class, no matter what area of the law that you are pursuing, I hope you will find a way to contend with this justice deficit that we're struggling with. We have to find ways to create more equality, more opportunity, more justice. In Maslow's pyramid of needs, hope is a function of not just the bottom two levels, but in all of those levels. And on a global scale, hope is not the exclusive domain of the oppressed and downtrodden. Hope is a gift of the human spirit. We use it frequently in our dialogue and prose, and it is found wonderfully expressed in various forms of art, prose, music, and drama. Aaron Copland's Fanfare for the Common Man, composed in the middle of World War II, and Beethoven's inspiring Ode to Joy in his Ninth Symphony both express the fervent hope for humankind to live in harmony. Picasso's remarkable painting, Guernica, I believe I said that right, painted during the Spanish Civil War, expresses the brutality and futility of war and is a metaphor for humanity's hope for peaceful coexistence between people all over the world. A gift of the French government, in 1886, Lady Liberty serves as a beacon of hope, both for those seeking a better life here and to encourage all other nations to recognize basic human rights for all as well. And of course, Martin Luther King's iconic I Have a Dream speech that inspired us to carry his hopeful message forward. Dr. Saul Levine of the University of California, San Diego, provided a poignant summation of hope. Hope provides a haven from pessimism and fear. It galvanizes our courage and mobilizes our energy and vitality. It enhances our mood and our creative thinking. Hope also contributes to the human propensity to help others who are in distress, including loved ones as well as strangers. Heroism is thus frequently spawned by the presence of hope during times of danger and destitution. It is one of the great human motivators, endearing a sense of purpose and aspirations during desperate times. May it be so.